And when you quantify the time that you have left by instances of time spent together, it becomes infinitely more valuable.
The big one for me is my little guy, Brax. He's 3. Once he turns 10, like, I'm not going to be his favorite person in the world. So I'm so much more present just because of that math equation. Like, it's so limited.
What's something that frustrates you about the fitness industry in general?
The nutritional advice for every scroll of your phone on Instagram. This happened just yesterday. I was scrolling away and he was convincing people not to eat bananas.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Good People episode 17. Today, I was joined by Dave Bess. He is the co-creator of Greenlight Personal Training, a PT Legends head coach, and he is a big fan of chicken sandwiches and using the Tonal. We are going to jump right into today's episode, but first, if you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our weekly episodes. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for taking part in this immersive listening experience. A meaningful existence is a moving target that, no matter how close, will always be out of reach. We hope this message finds you with an outstretched hand. As we attempt to uncover complex truths, remember, life's toughest questions can be answered if we all just focus on one thing: being good people.
All right, Dave, man, welcome to the show. I'm very, very excited to do this.
I'm jacked up, buddy. This has been on the docket for, I guess, 3 weeks ago we booked this thing. So I'm excited to be here, brother.
Yeah, you are. I am certain this will go down in Good People history as one of the most high energy episodes that we have to date.
Love it, dude. That is my guarantee. I'll Babe Ruth it and I'll call my shot. Let's get some people excited.
Okay, very good. Can you give us a brief overview of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, how brief do we want it? Do we want like kind of the meat and potatoes, or should we go through like some heartbreak stories? Like where should we start?
Let's go somewhere in the middle, and then we'll get to the heartbreak stories later on.
Oh, you want to go there today? We can. I have some great stories about a life-size teddy bear, spike and panic attack. So if we want to go down that rabbit hole today, we can. But yeah, man, I grew up in a small little town in southeast Missouri, 5,000 people. So always had a passion with fitness. My degree, I got it in finance because I wanted to be a stockbroker, and that route didn't work out. I hated it. So long story short, had my finance degree, worked for Under Armour for 4 to 5 years when they got into the retail game. And my best friend, Brad, his wife got into law school out in Phoenix, I guess in 2011. And at the time, my dad was in a bad car wreck, so I was taking care of the family farm. I'm like, what the heck am I going to do next? So my best friend threw me an invite, and I just drove to Phoenix and started life in 2011. So that's when I officially kind of jumped into the fitness space, started renting privately from a studio local in Phoenix. And that's where I met my now business partner, Scott Carpenter. He owned the gym, and it was just kind of in the stars aligned. Got into gym ownership, I guess, in 2015 with Scott. And yeah, man, since then I've owned gyms. Pandemic hit, and that's when we had this big shift of, hey, what the heck are we going to do? Is it the end of the gym industry as we known it? So we created the high ticket inside of brick and mortar, kind of combined it into this secret sauce. And now we're mentoring gym owners around the world and teaching them how to raise their prices so they can work with less clients and make more money. And we're also launching it as an international franchise. So I think that's my story in like 180 seconds.
Yeah, that was a very good synopsis of your story. And I've actually had the lucky opportunity to be coached by you. And one of the reasons why I'm excited for this is just because when it comes down to stuff like that, I'm sure this will fall under the same category of the kinds of conversations you're encouraging people to have with clients. But at the bare bones of it, we're just sort of getting to know each other better. And I've always thought you've been a cool, interesting guy that I would like to get to know a bit more about. So we'll talk a bit about that business stuff, but something I'm actually really curious about is, when did you get involved with fitness yourself as an individual? Like, how long had you been working out before you knew training people was something that you wanted to pursue?
I think every good story starts with some type of heartbreak. So growing my small farm town broke my heart. we were going to go to a St. Louis Blues New York Rangers hockey game, and she started dating this other guy before our date. And so that's when, once again, my best friend Brad is like, dude, you need to get jacked. And so that was like my first gym experience, was at the age of 19. And I'll remember it was Titan Gym. Walked in, and this is one of the, like, you're going to hate this being a CrossFitter. My best friend Brad was working out with a local cop. They were doing bicep curls, 21s in the squat rack. So that was my introduction to training. But then, man, it's just, I got that first pump, and I was addicted ever since. So at the age of 19, I was very insecure, no confidence. And that's kind of like, I think everyone, they start their fitness journey there, right? It's like, I want to have more confidence. I want to put on some muscle. I want to get toned. I want to lose body fat. So it's very, I want to look better in the mirror was the initial reason. And I didn't truly understand and grasp what fitness like truly meant for me, probably up until I was probably 37, 38 years old. So the journey started at 19, and for the first 20 years, it was, let's get a ripped, shredded six pack, some huge delts, nice chest, and let's become a pro bodybuilder. So that's kind of the synopsis of my fitness journey right there.
Yeah, very good. Ripped abs, shoulders, and chest is what I would describe you as. So you have definitely done that. But you said I wouldn't like the bicep curl thing. I love that, dude. That is like the most fun. Yeah, I have a bit of nostalgia when it comes to bodybuilding style training. I started when I was 15 or 16. Similarly, I was always really unconfident. I had a bunch of weight to lose when I was young, and I started losing weight later on in high school, and that's how I started working out. My brother showed me how to work out, and he was coming from the high school gym with his baseball team, and it was very much push pull legs. Sometimes you hit arms and shoulders, but there wasn't much rhyme or reason to the program we were doing. We were just going in and, to use your words, chasing a pump, and it was fun. It kind of sounds like, and I'm going to ask you this question too, that you fell in love with it almost right away. You were like, this is awesome. But for me, it wasn't like that. I just kind of kept working out because I wanted this thing. I wanted to lose weight, and the love of fitness didn't come until probably years into me actually doing it. But did you sort of do it for the first time and you were like, I really like this thing?
I think I did it for all the wrong reasons, though. Like, I fell in love with training for all the wrong reasons for the first, I guess, almost 2 decades of me training. But I loved it. I mean, I loved it from the first second that I picked up a dumbbell, just that energy rush and the endorphins. But I'll be honest, man, the first 20 years of training, I just did it for pure cosmetics. Even the personal trainer it was pure cosmetics. So I fell in love with it, but in a lot of ways, I fell in love with it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I think that I've been giving some thought to that idea. I've even talked to people on this podcast about that. There, a lot of what's important when you do something is intentionality. Like, is it better? I don't even know the answer to this question, and maybe I would like to hear your take on it. Is it okay for, being in shape is objectively a good thing, right? Is it okay for people to get in shape because they want to look better and maybe beat up the guy down the street for taking their girlfriend or whatever? Or does it need to come from the place of like, I like the process of this thing and it's going to make me live longer so I can be with my kids for longer? What is your opinion on that?
No, you know what? Here's the thing. Like, if I didn't do it for that chase and pumps and looking good and having abs, then I wouldn't be the man that I am today. So as much as I'm like, man, I did it for all the wrong reasons, like, I had to go through that. And I think most people, you have to go through it in a lot of ways for those cosmetic reasons to truly grasp and understand. So like a lot of the education, like I've done 12 bodybuilding shows, and honestly, the only reason I did those bodybuilding shows is because I was insecure. I was looking for gratification. I was looking for love. I mean, that's it, love in myself. That's why I did all these bodybuilding shows. But I don't regret that for a second, because a lot of my nutritional knowledge and training knowledge, like, I picked a lot of that up along the way. So yeah, like, I think just doing it for any reason out of the gate, it's going to be better than, hanging out on the couch and watching Netflix. But I think long term, you have to have that moment to where you have to realize there's more to fitness than just, what I like to say is reps and recipes.
Yeah. If you ask anybody who's been an exerciser for maybe 3+, maybe more than that. You said 2 decades, years, right?
Yeah.
There is that thing of like, I don't even do this for my biceps anymore. I do it because it makes me not want to punch my spouse in the evening when I get home or whatever, you know. Maybe that was a poor choice of words. I wouldn't
Let's
think about
go.
doing it, but you get my point. As a way to release some of the stressors of life and things of that nature. And you know, I always think too about how many businesses have been built off of like, my dad told me I was going to be a failure if I dropped out of college. You know, like that's a great story.
For sure.
I mean, it's probably coming from a negative place and of resentment and fear maybe, but you know, you can use some of these negative emotions in a positive way.
100%. I think everything great that's ever been built, it kind of came from that place of a lot of ways negativity and fear. Like you never hear the success story where it started from the top and they did it for all the right reasons. So I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, it's the cliche of it's not the journey, it's the destination or whatever. It's like you find value and love for yourself and others through the difficult challenge of overcoming the negative things that maybe got you started.
100%. 100%.
You said when you started training people, it was also sort of for the aesthetic of it. I'm interested to see what was going on in your mind during that time. Maybe what's the story you were telling yourself for like, why am I a trainer right now?
Yeah, I guess for me, like I was chasing if I like what I saw in the mirror, that was going to make me happy. Right. And so I push that on clients. I'm like, listen, if you put together a strategy and you hit your macronutrients and you build some shoulders and, you know, you build those glutes, it's going to make you happy. So, man, I guess I really started training people in 2011. So like 2011 all the way up until probably 2019, 2020, when we kind of transitioned into more of this like high ticket, we're selling mentorship programs. That was my goal for every client. It was like, hey, you're going to lose this weight. You're going to be happy. So a lot of it was just because of my journey. It was, you know, but I remember this moment like so clear in my first year of bodybuilding, 2014. I was doing qualifying show. I missed my pro card by 1 point, but I remembered the photo that I snapped at the hotel that morning. I had an amazing coach. And so we did this weird, like rapid backloading program where I ate like 1,000 carbs and sweet potatoes the night before. And I took the photo that morning, just freaking, I'll just show you the photo. It's insane. But I remember, and I didn't know it at the time, but looking back, how much I hated myself. So I even knew like in like that moment right there, 2014, there has to be something more to this fitness game than achieving the ultimate body composition. But I'll admit it, I was guilty for the first decade of my training career. It was, if you like what you see in the mirror, you're going to be happy. And it's just not the case.
Yeah. I think to use ultra marathoning, you know, something that one of the ethoses of this, I don't even know if ethos is a word. One of the things behind the show is that it doesn't matter what you do in your life. Being a good person is generally the path to being successful at whatever pursuit, fitness, computer science, whatever. Right. And so, sort of what you are getting at here is it does like what I'm taking from that is bodybuilding was the thing that taught you this lesson. And so I would say that you and I could both attest that ultra marathoning and bodybuilding are fitness, but they're very different in a lot of ways. I mean, maybe not actually. You deplete your body to extreme limits, but maybe they're not so different after all. But I never had one of those moments where I hated myself by any means or was like, you know, this isn't it. But I've always just been acutely aware of the fact that when I finish an ultra marathon, I've done the big ones. I've done a 50K and a couple marathons, but the big ones in my head for me are my first 50 miler in 2019. And then I did 100 miles in 2020 last year. And both times I finished that race, and I knew this going into it, and I wasn't expecting it to be some extravagant over the top finish, but man, you just cross the finish line and you're just like, whatever, you know, like I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and my body's going to feel horrible. And then like, I'm going to live the rest of my life. And this one experience doesn't make me a badass forever. You know, I'm going to have to do something else. And it's, you know, it's very much that, whether it's hating yourself after a bodybuilding show or just being aware of the fact that these things specifically, these experiences don't define who you are as an individual. I think that's just like a good lesson that no matter what you're doing, to look for in some of the things that you do on a day-to-day basis?
100%, man. Like it brings back memories of you get on stage, you're oiled up, you're shredded. Like, I mean, this is every bodybuilding show. The second that I stepped off stage, I was like, well, what's next? So it's just this ultimate letdown of what's next. So like I know the exact feeling that you're talking about from finishing your races.
Yeah. And it's the what's next is a good, that's the lesson that proves that it's about enjoying the thing that you do, because no amount of people clapping at your abs or clapping at you when you finish the 100 miler is going to be enough that carries you through to joy through your life. You're going to spend the majority of your time preparing for these things that you're going to do, and you should enjoy. I hate the cliche, enjoy the process, because you don't always have to, but you should, for the most part, enjoy what you're spending the majority of your time doing.
1,000,000%. It's I still have a couple end users who I coach, and kind of like what we're working on is like, we don't make any decision to their plan if they can't follow it forever. That's our new. So like with Keith today, we were talking about skinny popcorn. Love skinny popcorn. He's like, dude, should I be doing skinny popcorn? And so the question I asked Keith is, dude, can you eliminate skinny popcorn forever? He's like, I don't think so. I'm like, that's not a decision. So for me, when like building anyone's journey, that's something big. It's not to achieve this body composition, right? It's what can we do to put together a plan that you can follow for the rest of your life. And then that allows you to enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. So a lot of the way that I coach end users and even gym owners, it's like, let's build a plan that you can follow through and do forever.
Yeah, because everybody always says that it's about lifestyle change, especially in our world, like if you want to lose weight, it's a lifestyle change, and you're starting at that. It's like, that's not a building process to get to. I mean, yes, we change and evolve, and we can over time do more, and our workouts change. But if we just start there with the super simple stuff that is the life change, which is a lot easier than I think it's not easy. It's a lot simpler than most people realize. That's all the help that they're going to need.
And here's the thing, man, if you follow the simple basics and you do it for 90 days from a body composition angle, you're going to have a hell of a transformation too, right? If someone actually follows a caloric goal and eats protein and moves their body with intention and lifts weights a couple times a week, they do that for 6 months, they're there. It's so much more healthy compared to the 75 hard person that goes all in and achieves the sprint goal of 75. Then they go back to their old habits, just because guess what? For most people, they're not going to work out for freaking 45 minutes twice a day and be perfect with no cheat meals. So I think a lot of the industry, they push that all in mentality. And that's why most people fail on their fitness journey, because they don't start with, hey, what can I do to design a plan that can follow for the rest of my life? Starting there, man, it sets you up for success every single time.
Yeah, and I think people that we help, say somebody's got to lose 150 pounds, and they start with us, that's a long journey, man. That's like 2-3 years to really get to, that real goal weight, quote unquote, that they have. But anybody who I've ever had and I've coached in that position, after 3 months, they've lost 20 pounds. They're a million times happier, and they're already like, I'm where I need to be mentally. I'm doing all the things I need to do. It's only a matter of time before I achieve the quote unquote end goal. So like sort of what you're saying, sometimes we build these things up to be this huge multi-year journey in our head, but it's really just those small marginal changes. And in a very short time, we do feel the gratification of those changes, not quite instantly, but almost.
Absolutely. And if you combine that with actually enjoying the process, right? If you eat Cheetos, building that into their strategy, or they like CrossFit workouts. I'm into HIIT workouts right now, like designing that, you're seeing the result, but you're like, freaking, hey, I love the journey too. Like that's just, man, that's the ultimate 1-2 combo.
Yeah. I have a question about this, and I need to ask you, what is HIIT? Okay. Not to be confused with high intensity interval training. This is just high intensity training. I've seen your stories on Facebook and Instagram about this, and it's just you pulling a tonal machine at like 2 seconds or like 20 seconds per rep. It looks awesome.
Okay. So HIIT training. So do you want me to tell you like the backstory, like how this was introduced to me?
Yeah. I want to know everything. How did you get into it? What is it?
Okay, so I can get to my mom's journey. She's been through one hell of a fitness journey. So like I want to start there, and then I'll connect it to hit. So um, this was, I guess, March of this year. Like a lot of the reasons that I'm in fitness is because of my mom. Like growing up in a small little town of 5,000 people, man, its fitness was non-existent. And I grew up in the Leave It to Beaver household, to where my mom was about taking care of everyone in the house but herself. So a lot of the reason that I got into the industry is because, like, honestly, I truly believe my mom was never going to change, but I wanted to help other specific moms out there that reminded me of my mom. So a lot of the big reason I started in the industry was because of my mom. So she never took, I mean, I can't tell you how many sleepless nights I had because my mom never took that choice. So up until March of this year, she was, getting in her mid 60s, type 2 diabetes. Just, I mean, honestly, she wasn't going to live a couple more years, in my opinion. And for the first time in her life, in my life, in March, she was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and she was out visiting my family, and she asked for my help. So I actually put her through a 9-week mentorship program. My mom's officially down, I think, 35 pounds as of this week. And even with the Parkinson's, I've never seen her in this just sharp mental condition. She went a couple weeks ago to get her nails done. She's the ultimate transformation. So like, what started as like, hey, I'm taking care of my mom. Like I was researching some things to do with Parkinson's. So like as my mom is starting the journey, Kevin Quinn out of Baltimore, he joined PT Legends, an old wily vet. Like I don't know, I'm not going to tell Kevin's age. Like he's not a spring chicken. Like he's in his 60s. Just one of the most badass human beings in the world. And his niche, you're going to love this. He works with people with Parkinson's. He's obsessed with it. So he was giving me some tips, and he's like, your mom should do HIIT training. And I'm like, high intensity interval training. I'm like, what are you talking about? No. Like he got offended. He's like, I'm talking HIIT training, high intensity training. And so he just walked me through the general concept. And it's basically, you nailed it. It's just super slow. Go as slow as you can possibly can in both directions. Go each set to all out failure. And the whole sales pitch is you can be done with your workout in 12 to 15 minutes. And I'm like, this is nonsense, but I'm going to try it because I'm open to it. So my guy, Big Sex, he came over to the house. He's one of my clients. I'm like, dude, you want to try this HIIT training? And from that workout forward, dude, I'm like, I cannot believe I have not been doing this my entire life. So the general concept is you're going all out, one set to absolute muscular failure. Okay. So like each set, I mean, we're talking like a minimum of 45 seconds all the way up to, depends on who you talk with in the HIIT world, 2 minutes to 2.5 minutes. What I like most about it, I don't have to work out 4 to 5 times a week. The way that the typical HIIT person recommends, you're doing 2, 3 workouts, absolute max, and you never need more than 20 minutes. I've tracked my data. I've been doing it now, I guess, closer to 5, 6 months. I've lost just a little bit of muscle, but I've cut down my gym time by about 80 to 85%. So another big benefit is just because it's so freaking safe. So just getting in that proper position and you're just focusing on your form and you can lift, as heavy load as possible. My body's never felt this good. So I have legitimately maintained all of my gains. My nutrition has been up and down, but I could guarantee you, once I lock my nutrition in, I will achieve exactly the same results. I could even get on stage if I wanted to take my calories that low. And I feel I would perform very, very well on stage with an 80% reduction in the amount of time I'm spending in the gym. So I'm very new to it, but just from my own personal experience, and I've taken a couple of clients through the program, for the busy professional, man, it's like, who has time to spend 4 to 5 hours in the gym? When I was 25, I did. When I was 30, but now, approaching 40, 2 kids, multiple businesses, I have freedom if I miss that workout. Just because I know now if I'm getting in my sometimes even 1 workout a week and I'm maintaining all of my muscles. So you have to fly out to Phoenix, man, and I'll put you through combining it with the tonal plus the HIIT, dude. It is in the gnarly pumps too, which I love.
I would absolutely love to do that. My question though, is it like 1 rep per, essentially 1 rep per exercise, or is it?
Yeah. So this is the fun part. There's so many variations of HIIT. So Like the protocol that I'm following this week, probably the last month, they're 90-second sets. Okay. So you pick a weight and you go just all out intensity for 90 seconds. Okay. Potentially, maybe you have a little bit left in the tank. So you might go to 95 to 100 seconds. Okay. But then the next week, you would increase the weight. So right now, I'm following like a 90-second protocol, and we're talking like 5 seconds in both directions with a 2-second pause. So we're looking at about 12 seconds a rep. There's so many variations of it. Like there's one variation of HIIT. It's you drive the positive in the 30-second negatives. So that's the cool thing with it. It's as long as you're going to absolute muscular failure, doesn't matter how you get there. So that's the fun part. There's so many different protocols within HIIT. Arthur Jones he's kind of the catalyst of this. It's been around since like the 1950s. But Arnold got huge, and everybody started following the 3x12, the 3x15. But there's a lot of research out there, brother, that you can achieve exactly the same results. And I kind of piloted it myself. I'm like, I really don't believe that this would work. But after following now for 6 months, I'm 100% a believer in it.
Yeah. Do you know who Bill Maeda is?
I heard the name.
So he's like big on TikTok and YouTube. He's like this mid-50s Hawaiian dude that is just absolutely shredded. Like,
okay.
But all of his workouts, I mean, he does really crazy stuff that's probably not as safe of a range of motion, like single arm hangs off of like suspended pull-up bars that like rotate, and he does a lot of like maces and bag work. But he does like, say he does a pull-up, he does like a minute pull-up for one rep. So it's like very similar of a style of training. But he's just, I mean, you need to look up a picture of this guy. He is strong and shredded, and he just does a whole bunch of, very primal-esque. I would say he's probably a little bit more on that side of things, the functional primal kettlebell workout guys. But it's very similar, like low volume, really, really high intensity.
Yes.
That also reminded me, that's just a big thing in general now too. Not necessarily the as much time under tension, but a lot of people are doing a full body training split now that I've seen with strength training, where they're doing like 5 days a week, but all they do is go into the gym, they load up each exercise, they do like a squat, a hinge, a push, a pull, and they do one set of one of those categories, or for each one of those categories until failure, and then they move on to the next one. Something that just, it makes sense to me from like an exercise science perspective. It's probably better to have a good foundation before you do this, but it sounds like you're doing it with new clients, right? What kind of results are you getting with people like that?
Yeah. So like you said, I wish I was in the day-to-day operations. Like my business partner, Scott, if I would be like, brother, I'm opening up a gym, it's a HIIT gym, he'd probably expect something crazy like that from me, but he's going to be like, brother, we can't do that at this time. So it's really good for people with Parkinson's just because it's so low impact. So yeah. Like if someone watches me do a HIIT workout, I had my mom I'm like, Mom, I'm going to introduce you to HIIT. She's like, I'm not going to do that. Like, you're nuts. Because when I go HIIT, I go to absolute failure. So like even starting with my mom, she was doing a push-up on the wall. So we just started her there. So that's what's really cool is you can dial it down. She was doing a body weight squat as slow as she possibly could for 90 seconds and a push-up on the wall. Then as time goes on, then we can add in, we have a resistant band row that she's doing in the basement now. But what's really cool with it, it's like you can meet anyone at their level. And as long as they're going just slow and controlled, maybe you don't go because I go to 100% because I have a lot of training experience. Someone like my mom, we started off, she's only going to 60 to 70%. So like as time goes, you can take that beginner and then you can play around with the variables and take them closer to that 100%. So it's just so low impact. That's why I like most about it, just with, box jumps. And it's just every time I do anything like that, man, I get banged up and injured. So the low impact is one of my favorite parts of HIIT.
Yeah. And, I think, and if you ask any coach, they're not going to say, any hopefully intelligent coach, they're not going to say that one specific thing works. Like that's something that I really believe in. As soon as I say I'm CrossFit guy, then I can't help certain groups of people, right? Or I'm limiting the amount of knowledge that I could take in to potentially change something to make it more efficient with time, or whatever application it may have. But this is actually one of the reasons why I like CrossFit is what you're saying, is because a lot of people who go to the Planet Fitness or any other normal gym and they just never get results, and then they start doing CrossFit, and now they're the typical I live and die CrossFit because it's the only thing that's ever worked for me. The reason why it works is because the thing about CrossFit is intensity, and it teaches you how to train hard. And what you don't realize is there's so many success stories of people who were at a gym, didn't get results, did CrossFit for maybe 2 years, learned how to train really, really hard, and then returned back to their old bodybuilding or powerlifting or any other style programming at the regular gym. And then they just keep making absolutely insane progress because they realize what it feels like to train hard. And I think that is probably one of the benefits of what you're talking about, is it makes you feel what 100% intensity feels like, what failure feels like. And pushing something like a box jump to failure probably isn't a great idea, but a lat pull down, you're totally safe and fine. So I think that sounds like a really cool strategy, especially for somebody who has never really exercised and maybe has other underlying issues.
100%, man. It's taken me a lot of years. Like if we would have had this podcast 5 years ago, I would say, if you're not doing lateral raises, you're an idiot. Like, you got to have some cannonball deltoids, right? Like, a lot of the reason that we built Greenlight, it's for the general population person. The magic is made when they're not in the gym. So I tell people all the time, if you love Orange Theory, if you love every F45, is the best workout? Probably not. But if you absolutely love it and you consistently do it and you follow that up with the strategy, the 165 hours, my gosh, for the general population person, they're checking off all their boxes. Like, they're going to, for the most part, achieve the majority of their goals. So I'm so pick a freaking workout strategy, a plan that you enjoy doing, and then just do it for the long haul. So that's my view on I say it all the time. In a lot of ways, the workout is just so overrated. Pick something that you love. You can ramp up the intensity and do it for the long haul.
Yeah. I don't want to harp too long on exercise science with you. Knuckleheads talking about getting huge deltoids, But, I'm curious, who has made an impact on you specifically as a mentor?
Man, so who's made me into the mentor that I am today? Is that what you're asking?
You could even take that a couple different routes. Maybe something I'm curious about is you have these different aspects of your life, right? You have your fitness journey yourself as a bodybuilder, and you also have this trainer Dave helping people get in shape, but then you also have mentor Dave helping fitness trainers. So maybe you want to pick apart is there a role model in bodybuilding that really stands out? Is there a role model as a trainer that really stands out? Isn't there? And then there's a person that maybe really stands out to you as far as you wanting to help other trainers improve their business and their ability to sell or whatever.
Yeah, I think there's two people that pop in my head. Like, my business partner, Scott Carpenter, he took a shot on me when I was renting space from him. He's the one guy in this industry that I really trust with my life. He's just taken care of me through the years. We work so well because he's such an analytical by the book guy, and I'm a gunslinger. So us together, it really is just the ultimate combo. So there's no way in hell I would be where I am right now if it wasn't for my business partner, Scott Carpenter. That guy, I wouldn't even say that we're friends, but he's just one of those guys. He's my guy. I trust the guy from a business angle with my life. The person, though, I would say that's turned me into the man I am today, though, is my mom. And it's just, she's when we talk about, what's the name of this podcast? Say
Good People.
Good People. My mom's the best person that I know in the world. All of my good traits, the reason that I am the trainer that I am today, the mentor I am today, is because I have her heart. That's what she passed to me. It's her heart and soul. So I know we were talking a little bit before, what defines a good person? My mom was always about helping first and serving first. That's who I am as a mentor. Every decision that I make when it comes to helping out a gym owner or the end user is just, I'm there to help and serve. So all my good attributes come from my mom when it comes to defining what is a good person. She's just taught me just help and serve. If you help and serve, man, you're gonna make a lot of money. You're gonna be in great relationships, and you're gonna impact the world. So I would give my mom the biggest kind of she turned me into the man I am today.
When did you realize that she was teaching you those things?
Like truly?
Yeah, like did you always know that, or was it like was there a because I had I love my parents did an amazing job with me. And they're gonna
Yeah.
listen to this podcast, and that's why I'm really saying that. No, I'm just kidding. They did an amazing job with me. And I didn't realize that until like 18, 19 years old. And I never had any resentment towards them. I always knew they were great parents, but I didn't realize how good of a job they did. And I'm still learning all that too. I just had a lady on who studies bullying and its long-term effects. And she the term she used for parents to what you need to provide your kids is high structure, high support. You need to be there for them. You need to let them do whatever they want to. You need to give them freedom, but you need to have an expectation for them. You need to help them pursue passions that they have. High structure, high support. And without ever having those words, like that's what my parents gave to me. I had to achieve certain grades, but I could go see whoever I wanted to. I could go outside at nighttime and play manhunt with my friends. Like I had a lot of freedoms, and I just didn't realize that growing up. So my question for you, I guess, is with your mom, like it sounds like those values are something that maybe she deliberately taught you. Is that something that you kind of always felt, or was there a time that you kind of learned that?
I think it's pretty new. It was really new. It actually happened in a shower about 2 months ago when it hit me like a ton of bricks. I did a cold shower. I'm not a cold shower guy, but I mean, I might be a cold shower guy. I was taking this cold shower after a HIIT workout, and then I just had this real like emotional, like no offense to my dad, but I always said like my dad was my hero, right? My dad is he's like Clint Eastwood. He's the opposite of me, just a gunslinger, not a gunslinger at all. He's an anti-gunslinger. He's just by the book, great mustache, doesn't talk much. But what makes me me was my heart. Like what makes me me, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I just want to go out there and serve and just help people in any aspect. That's who my mom was. And I didn't truly know that I got that from her until that shower. But after that shower, I wrote a long Facebook post about my mom. For years, I was angry with my mom just because she wasn't taking care of herself. She didn't prioritize herself. So like when she started her journey and like she's the mom that I always wanted her to be for herself. So I think like really having her go through this journey and just that moment of, I don't know if it was Scott. He's like sometimes Dave, you just care about people too much. And that's who my mom is to a fault. And it just hit me in that shower that like what makes me me was just that care first, help first mentality.
Yeah, very cool. You saying that, I think of my dad in the same way. Growing up, I didn't resent him. I don't know what the word is for it. I didn't resent him. I was thankful for him, but I didn't get him. I was like, why don't you quit your job and chase your dreams? Why are you driving and commuting to work and doing this job you hate and getting home and taking us right to soccer practice and then coming home and then sitting on the couch for 30 minutes before it's time to go to bed and do it all over again? Like, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you so, and I think very recently I'm realizing, it's cool when you graduate college and you move out. I've probably spent more quality time with my parents since I've moved out than I ever did growing up, right? I think that's probably pretty common. But
Very
like getting
common.
to actually know my parents now and like becoming friends with them almost, I really see that I'm very much like my dad. And we have a very similar personality. We have a very similar sense of humor. We operate in the world the same way. We're probably a little bit of a middle ground between you and your dad of like gunslinger, but also sort of even keeled. We're kind of like the people watchers in the corner, and we make fun of everybody in our head, and it amuses us, and that's all we need. But yeah, I think that's cool, like having reflection of what your parents gave you, and that's something that you'll always be able to sort of carry with you no matter how long ago they've passed or if they're still here. Like just being mindful of that your parents give you more than just financial help and in a house. They gave you perspective and values, which is cool.
Absolutely, man. It's one of those like when they do pass away, like it's really like now I'm spending the best time, like the most quality time every single time that I meet them. So it really is, man. It's if my mom does pass away tomorrow, it's the last 6 months I've spent with her is far and away the best 6 months I've ever spent with her. times a million.
Yeah. I heard this and it scared me so much, and I'll share it because I think it's it's like thinking about your own death. It sucks, but it's productive, right? If you like, for example, my grandpa turns 78 years old in September, right? And and his mom died, I think she was 92. Okay. So let's just say my grandpa lives to 92, which I don't know if that's likely. I don't know, he's doing very well, but that's 14 years. Okay. And I'm going to mess this math up so bad, but let's say that I see him once every like 6-ish weeks. Okay. That's about 10 times a year. I'm going to make it super easy. I made it super easy by doing it that way. Right. That means that I'm only going to see him 140 more times if I'm lucky, which that doesn't feel like enough. And if I said 12 or I said 200, it doesn't feel like enough. And when you quantify the time that you have left by instances of time spent together, like the weekend trip you take, it becomes infinitely more valuable. And you start to say, I need to be more present when I'm here, and I need to focus on this interaction more. And I need to, when he asks me a question, I shouldn't be shy about answering it. Like when he asks how things are going, be honest with him. So I think that's a cool lens to sort of start looking at things from.
Sahil Bloom? Did you get that from Sahil?
I don't know. I don't know where I got that from.
Oh, dude, I have to send you, if you're not following him, that's that Instagram reel, like that right there. He went into an in-depth one. He has a 60-second reel that changed my entire life because it made me start doing the math. So like my grandma's an amazing person, but I only get to see her twice a year. And she's not a spring chicken. So like every single time I'm there, my phone is down. I'm not gambling on baseball or hockey. It's pure presence, man. And it's even the big one for me is my little guy, Brax. He's 3. Once he turns 10, like I'm not going to be his favorite person in the world. So like that shift has allowed me, like last night, it was a stressful day at work, but I put it down and I'm like, dude, let's go play some Legos. So we're playing some Legos and we're dancing. We're listening to some Morgan Wallen. Like I'm so much more present just because of that math equation. Like it's so limited.
You know what you give me hope for is I was having a conversation with a client yesterday. I worked out with them at 6:30 p.m. and I normally work out with them at 7:30 a.m. And like halfway through our session, it was a small group session. Halfway through the session, they both kind of were talking, and I was like, "What's up?" And they said, "We've just been talking, and we both agree that it's surprising that you have the same amount of energy now at 6:30 p.m. as you do at 7:30 a.m." And I was like, "I'm like this all the time." And I just met with a group of people before we had this conversation, and I told them that story, and their response to me was like, "Oh, just give it time, like you'll dull down." And I'm like, I don't think so. Like my goal is to always be like this excited and joyous about life, have energy to do it, play with my son or daughter, maybe grandkids one day, right? Be present when I'm with my grandparents or my parents, right? And I think that you're a good example of that. You have that, it's never gone away. Like it's almost like being a kid for your whole life. Like I think it's important to not lose that.
100%, man. And that's why we built Greenlight. Like that right there is Greenlight. Like I want to utilize and teach people fitness is a vehicle so you could be like this 24/7. I believe that. Like when it comes to taking care of your body, doing intentional movement, getting enough sleep, jamming out with some HIIT training, man. It's so insane what that does to every single aspect of your life when it comes to finances, faith, family. Like it's like for me, fitness is that driving force. It allows me to be this guy 24/7. It's not the abs. It's that. I can be this 24/7.
I would agree with that 100%, which is why when you said like the bicep curl and the squat rack, like I couldn't imagine being more fired up in my whole life than if you came and picked me up. We drove to a Gold's Gym and we did that in like 30 minutes. I would leave that and I would be like, I'm going to make $1 million tomorrow. Like what are we doing?
Let's go. 21s bicep rack. Let's just max that thing out for 45 minutes. They sign me up, man.
Is that why you think being a mentor is so powerful? Because you can sort of share all of that messaging, your values, what you believe will give people a better life, or is there something else?
Are we talking like mentoring the end user or mentoring gym owners? Because I think there's two different whys for me.
Okay. I guess gym owners, let's talk about gym owners a bit because we kind of spent some time talking about
Yeah.
everything else.
God, man, you know how hard it is to own a gym. In 2023, it's so hard, and we're in a world where 6 week challenges. Not a lot of people go into a gym and look at us as professionals, gym owners and trainers. So I know I got into this industry initially, like looking back, I got in it to change lives, right? Like fitness, it did something to me. I wanted to pass that down. Like my favorite part of my job as a mentor and teaching other gym owners is you can be that leader in your community. You can charge your worth. You can look someone in the eyes and say, I have a solution that's going to change your life, and it's $3,000. Where these gym owners that, I mean, like how many freaking clients does it take on a higher volume, low ticket price to so the gym owner can not eat ramen every single night, or an Orange Theory or an F45. So I love having connections with gym owners and teaching them that there's more out there than just counting reps and giving recipes. You got in this industry to change the world and help them find their voice behind that. And it allows them to work with fewer clients, make more money so they can spend their time and their energy with the people in their life that matter most. So it's that moment. Like every gym owner I work with, it once they have that moment where like, I am this guy, I am this Tony Robbins in my local community, man. That's why I never got in this industry to be a mentor for gym owners, but just that moment, every single time it happens, dude, it's the highlight of my day, my week, my month when that happens.
Yeah, you said it earlier, like one of your values is to serve. Is that sort of what this is? It's almost like you kind of were called into this position. You felt like nobody was really doing it and you had the opportunity to.
Yeah. It's the and we'll call it. We're not going to call the guy out, but like the creator of the 6 week program, right? Like there's so many sleazy, nasty sales tactics out there. Like most gym owners, man, they don't have much hope out there. It's just the industry is just so broken. So like helping out a gym owner find their voice to where they can look the end user in the eyes and say, I have this solution I feel is going to change your life, and then charge a premium dollar for it. Dude, it's everything changes. Everything changes when the gym owner has that moment.
And I think too, as somebody who's gone through this with you and had the opportunity to learn from you outside of the business perspective, like, yeah, it's a wonderful thing to be able to, number one, be, well, I was going to say be confident in yourself, but that's kind of what I'm getting at here is it's more than that. It's helping people live better lives in the sense of it frees up time and gets them more money. It makes business owners or gym owners and trainers more confident in themselves. And they also see the value of being honest with people. And then that has a carryover to the people that they train. And if I've learned anything from you, it's to, number one, be confident in myself, I know what I know. And like for example, I care a lot about performance, and I don't want anybody to lump me into the Orange Theory and boot camp coach because I'm a performance coach. And I think that there's a stigma with CrossFit coaches that get lumped into that category sometimes for exactly what you're saying. It's a lack of professionalism, right? And what sort of going through the process with you has given me is that confidence of like, no, I know what I'm talking about. And like, if you're not looking to squat heavier and perform better and look better and feel better about yourself and live a better life and be asked to do more than what you're doing right now, then I'm not your guy, And it's also taught me the value of honesty, of being like, yeah, it is going to cost this much. And yes, it is going to demand this much work for you. But like, that's exactly why you're struggling with it, is because you're not doing these things.
That's it right there, man. And I like to say, you have to reach that level of not confidence, but conviction. So like once you reach that level of conviction where if a gym owner has an offer on their menu, so where they can look that end user in the eye and say, this is going to change your life, and truly believe that and mean it, and then follow through with the fulfillment into business, man, it's not even about the money then at that point, right? It really is. I have the magic pill. We're going to go on this journey together, and over the course of these next 9 weeks, you're coming out a completely different person. When a gym owner grasps that and gets it, man, it's financially, the things really do turn around, but even then from a purpose angle, it really turns around.
What's cool is I had Austin Garber on the show. He's been a mentor of yours. He actually owns a Greenlight in California. I asked him this question, and I've been curious to ask you this. What's something that frustrates you about the fitness industry in general?
In general?
Yes.
My number one gripe with the fitness industry, I would say the nutritional advice for every scroll of your phone on Instagram. Like there was, I don't even know who the doctor was, but he's a doctor. He's been in the game for a while. This happened just yesterday. I was scrolling away, and he was convincing people not to eat bananas. So it's the nutritional advice out there that people put on there for clicks, man. It's destroying people's relationship with foods. That's my number one frustration, is the nutrition advice that is given by, and I'm going to probably say 98% of fitness professionals, because they're looking for clicks. That's the most frustrating part for me.
Do you follow Jordan Syatt?
Great. He's one of the few. He's in the 2%.
Do you know what he's doing right now?
He's doing the sugar. He's spiking his sugar, right, for like 30 days in a row, and he's going to lose like 7 or 8 pounds. I mean, that's clicky, but it's still like he's still teaching a message at the end of the day too.
Well, it's like calling out exactly what you're saying. It's like he's wearing a glucose monitor. He did blood panels before.
He's cool.
Deliberately spiking his blood sugar every single day, and he's doing all of the things that all the doctors say you shouldn't. Like he ate a pound of watermelon on an empty stomach yesterday. He had a donut before bed the day before that. He had Skittles for breakfast on the first day, I think. And he's doing something like this every single day, and he's still losing weight to prove that calorie deficit is really the thing that is going to move the needle forward. And so, anyways, I just wanted to, if you didn't know what he was doing, I was like, you've got to check it out.
Carter Austin Good is another one. Carter Good is a really good, Carter Good on Instagram. Like, if Carter Good ever listens to this podcast, if you want to be a part of Greenlight, Carter Good, man, if I go to a Carter Good post, I've never disagreed with one of his posts. He's probably the only person on Instagram. Every single post I've ever read, I'm like, yep, 2 thumbs up.
Okay. I'll have to check him out. Maybe I do know who that is. But I'm not putting a name to the face. But something that, when I asked Austin this question, it's just funny you guys gave 2 diverse answers. I think it's because he's more focused on the business side of things, but he was like, he just can't handle, there's too many corny people on the internet with like, and it's probably in the same vein of like if you saying don't eat bananas, like that's, are you kidding me? I can't eat a banana.
Come on.
Banana's probably one of the best things you can eat.
It's in the top 10, man. Like there's not a human being on this earth that bananas is an issue for any problems in their life. Not one person in planet Earth.
Okay. Very good. If you look up Dave Bess on the internet, you're going to see pictures of a glowing white smile. I mean, it might blind you. Chiseled physique, bronze, tanner on. I don't even know how that is. It tanner? Is that right?
I think tanner. We can go with tanner.
What do you typically put on?
Like for a bodybuilding show, like dude, it's the smell of that tan in that room with a bunch of other naked dudes is one of my top 3 favorite smells in the world. Don't know what it is, but dude, I get intoxicated by that. Like it makes me just want to get on. Like if I smell that, like that's one of the top 3 smells in the world. Don't know what it is, but we'll put tanner, some type of spray tan.
Okay. Either way, beautiful smile, chiseled physique, tan body, right? You'll see stories, probably testimonies of the clients of lives that you've helped change. Yeah. And we've talked a bit about this, but if you could sum it up, what kind of impact do you hope to make long-term with all of the stuff that you're involved with?
Yeah, it's corny, but it's redefining fitness. It's redefining fitness it's not what you see when you look in the mirror. It's how you feel when you look in the mirror. And we've touched on it before. It's utilizing fitness as the vehicle to make more money, be the best possible person you can for your family, and whatever you believe in it, you're going to believe in it a little bit more. Like that's what I want to redefine fitness as.
Yeah. We've spoken a bit about like the simplicity of it. I think that's important to you. If I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but it seems like keeping your life simple is important. And that's something that I've been giving a lot of thought to lately. And I see a lot of value in it. You know, it's very easy to get caught up in social media, doom scrolling.
Yes.
And that's the one addiction that I need to, like, I would say that I have a problem with it where I'm just mindlessly scrolling, or like I have the stupid muscle memory of pulling my phone out of my pocket. I know exactly where Instagram is, and I'm on it before I see anything else. Right. And I just see so much value in simplifying your life. And a funny way to put it, I was describing it to a client this morning of like, we are so stuck in our ways of like, this is my life. I can't change it. I have this obligation and I have this obligation. But all of that's not true. You could quit your job, you could move to France, and you could spend the rest of your days figuring out the perfect combination of wine and cheese if you really wanted to, you know, like it's a choice that you have to make. And it seems like that's something that you are preaching and care about too.
Dude, we live in a world that's just so complex, and you know, especially with like AI is my downfall right now. Like I want to figure out what's going on with AI, and it's even for like a business owner. Like when I mentor a gym owner, when I mentor an end user, like my new saying is, I want to teach you like I would teach it to my son Braxton, my 3-year-old. So every framework in my life that I build, it's designed for 3-year-olds. For gym owners right now, I teach them there's only 3 things you need to do to run your business. You just legitimately 3 things. You need to understand how to charge your value and worth and sell mid and high ticket programs. That's it. Number 1. Number 2 is you need to build a pipeline of people with either paid ads or organic. That's it. You need a pipeline. And then you need to love and serve and help that pipeline. If any gym owner does those 3 things right there, it will be a 7-figure gym in a very short period of time. For the end user that's looking to lose weight, it's a very similar framework.
Yeah. That's a cool lens, I guess, to look from too. It's like when you say I'm going to not just teach a 3-year-old, but teach your 3-year-old, it's like you care about that too. Like that's I've never really twisted it like that before.
Yeah, dude, if you have to dummy it down, like I can't tell you how many CEOs of professional athletes, you know, like I'd originally coach them and I'd build all these like strategic, crazy plans. And it's just like, no, I'm in a group text right now. You'll love this, with a wealth advisor, K-Dog, who's just a maniac, his business partner, and a former professional baseball player for the Toronto Blue Jays. Okay. We're in an accountability group. And each night we send each other 3 check marks. And you know what those 3 check marks are? Did we move that day for 20 minutes? Okay. Did we track our calories? Did we eat 3 servings of protein? That's our group, dude. Like those guys pay me a lot of money to be in that group exchange. And they do those 3 things. And for the most part, we're achieving all of our body composition goals. Just goes to show you, man, treat everyone like a 3-year-old.
I was literally just about to say that what that touches on too is more than just business, right? Like that's how I live my life. I have like the simplest checklist ever, just the same as you. Did I move my body? Was I active today? Did I learn something today? And did I have fun today? Those are 3 things. And sometimes that's all. I do all 3 of those in one thing. I went to the gym and I tried out a new movement. So I worked out, I learned something, and then it also was fun for me, you know? And literally, like if I lay down in bed at night, I could have got fired from my job. I mean, which would suck, but like I would still be, well, at least I did these things that I know are important to me.
Man, we live in like a world that's just so crazy. It's just, what can you do to simplify it and do a couple things that allows you to live your best life?
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add to this conversation at all?
No, dude, this is exactly what I expected it to be, man. It's just, you know, it's we went a million different directions, but man, I don't, if you don't have any questions for me, man, this has been fantastic.
Okay. I usually ask people what a good person is, but you kind of already answered that. Is there anything else that you feel like it means to be a good person?
I don't think so, man. I think if you help and serve, like if that's your default business decision, I'm just going to help and serve. Someone wants to quit PTL. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to help. I'm going to serve. If a customer's mad at me, I'm going to help and serve. The 3-year-old who's sometimes a terrorist, I'm just there to help and serve him. Right? Sometimes that's really hard to do, but if you just do that, man, you're gonna live your best possible life.
Cool. Is there let's go with where can people find more from you and the content and stuff like that you're putting out?
Yeah, it's Coach Dave Bess on Instagram is the best place. Right now, basically my full-time job with PT Legends is fulfillment. So you're not going to see a bunch of my chicken sandwich content. Once we're through this phase of really dialing in our PTL journey, people can expect a lot of chicken sandwiches coming from that Instagram account.
Literal chicken sandwiches?
Dude, you didn't know my love for chicken sandwiches?
No.
So once we sell Greenlight, my next franchise is going to be called Chicken Sandwich Tuesday. I love chicken sandwiches. Healthy gourmet chicken sandwiches. I went for this. Have you ever had like an 18-course meal? Like high end. Have you ever went that? You have to do it at some point in your life.
No.
Kevin Binkley, Phoenix. Because I'm like, hey babe, we're gonna spend a lot of money for this 18-course meal. I don't really drink, but that night I drank. So I'm like, I'm several cocktails in. I am drunk. Guess who's serving up at like number 11? Kevin Binkley comes to the table. So this guy's a world-class chef. I'm a little bit drunk. And I go, Kevin, do you like chicken sandwiches? And he said, Dave, I love chicken sandwiches. So I pulled out my phone. I have a buffalo chicken sandwich, and I showed him the picture. And I go, once I retire, do you want to do this together? And you know what Kevin Binkley said?
Hell yes.
He said yes. Now, Kevin probably has no idea, but I am going to remind Kevin of that, in the next 12 to 15 years. I love chicken sandwiches. Love chicken sandwiches. They're delicious. They're versatile. Chick-fil-A needs a competitor, and Chicken Sandwich Tuesday will eventually be that competitor.
Okay. I believe you 100%. And I do like a good chicken sandwich. I will say I've never had one that's like knocked my socks off, but I will try your chicken sandwich. All right, Dave, thank you so much for doing this. This was awesome. Like you said, we went in a million different directions. We probably could have gone in a million more. This has been a really cool conversation. We'll do it again sometime. Maybe we'll do a podcast in person when I try this HIIT workout and chicken sandwich.
Come on, baby. Let's go. Sign me up.
All right, man. If you don't have anything else to add, we'll sign it off there.
No, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Good People. Before we sign out, if you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly episodes. If you really enjoyed the show, please share it with somebody that you love, perhaps your grandma. We'll see you next time.